I'm a terrible sore loser. I don't follow the rules.
All the bearded guys seem to lie.
Yeah. There are rumors galore.
I am so up and down on my emotions right now.
Retain salad.
Okay. Where there is smoke, there is always fire, etc., etc., etc.
You don't do it.
Been there, done that.
And we'll get into it later.
They know crap about hockey.
Come on. Well, I laugh it off.
I have no issue.
Here's the thing, though. I have nothing to do.
I'm okay with this deal.
There was no other option.
So now you have nothing.
We already blew it.
Win now, win now.
It paid off.
I will eat my pants.
Hey guys, it's Two Guys in Hockey Talk. I'm Pavel the Cat and
Revenev here. Evan Renner's coming at you with another week of Two Guys in Hockey Talk.
Yeah, we keep talking hockey, so we want to thank everyone for tuning in. It's been a great series so far this season, season 3 of our shows. Evan, what have we got lined up for the next little bit?
Woo! Well, this week, today, we are going it alone. We have a jam-packed podcast here today for you guys. We're loaded with stuff. So today, by the way, before I go to our guest coming up in the next couple of weeks, today we're just going to have a 2 to 3 minute kind of time clock that we're going to work off of so that Pavel and I actually move to the next topic and don't bore you guys.
Did you talk to my agent or something where you're telling me I have a time frame of how often I can talk, or are the people down there saying I talk too much? I know my wife and my parents tell me I talk too much, but are you saying the same thing?
Well, I noticed last week with TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, and if, by the way, if you didn't catch the episode, go to last week's episode, season 3, episode 6. Just check it down below in our Facebook page. And by the way, guys, check our content all week long, every day. We get up content all around hockey. It could be ball hockey. It could be street hockey. We could talk roller hockey. By the way, people raising sticks down in Carolina, man. They're sending it to Two Guys in Hockey Talk, trying to find a way to raise money. If you guys want to donate, just check down in our links below. But our guest, before we get started. So our guest next week, we have a returning guest who is now the play-by-play broadcaster for the American Hockey League, AHL, affiliate of the New York Rangers, Alex Thomas of the Hartford Wolfpack. He's got some great stuff, by the way. If you don't, you can follow him on Twitter at AlexThomas14. Check the links below. But he's going to be on. He's going to tell us a little bit what goes behind being a play-by-play guy, all the work that guy's got to do. If the New York Rangers don't call him out and he has to delay another appointment with us next week, Pavel.
Finally, you're going to learn how to do real work, Evan, from Alex.
Man, I could never do that play-by-play stuff. That's hard. So, and then the following week, we have Patrick coming on, and he follows the Continental Hockey League. He has information that I only dream of. So a lot of the content that we share with you from the KHL actually comes from him, and he also is a writer for the Continental Hockey League. So I believe, though, he writes in English, not in Russian. So I just want to mention that.
Good.
What do we got going today, man?
Oh, we've got a lot. So we're going to get started. But just before, grab your bevy. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share your thoughts, feelings, ideas. We'd love to hear it. We're going to start because the report on Chicago Blackhawks is out on the investigation into Brad Aldrich. And Stan Bowman is out not only as the GM of the Chicago Blackhawks, but as the GM of the Team USA coming up for the Olympics in Beijing. So
okay. So he's been taken off the Olympic also.
Yes.
We're not making that
Frank
move.
Saravelli just reported it just
okay. Yeah, we just got it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's coming out that he's no longer going to be part of that. He was able to step away. The NHL have punished and fined the Chicago Blackhawks for $2 million for covering this up.
Whoa.
And now Gary Bettman's going to have a personalized conversation not only with Kevin Cheveldayoff, who has been the only GM for Winnipeg since they've been back, and Joe Quenneville, the Florida Panthers, who they've been on a hot start. You know, they haven't lost the game thus far. I mean, they've been on a roll. That's going to be tough because I don't see how those two guys stay in their positions,
Oh,
and how that's going to affect the rest because they're trying to clean house.
that gives me the shivers, man, thinking about this possibility of where the NHL could be because of this whole thing. Oh, this just sickens it. Like, I just feel sick inside even talking about this stuff.
Yeah, and of course the player hasn't been named yet. There is a report. We're gonna post it on our site once we get a hold of it. I know
the actual facts.
Rummaged through a little bit of it. It's very scathing. There's a lot of graphic content in there, so brace yourself if you're able to handle that kind of material and information.
So what's happening with who's replacing Bowman? Do we know anything happening right now?
I believe the interim one is Kyle. The name escapes me.
Kyle Davidson.
Kyle Davidson is taking over as interim GM for the time being. I don't know what this means for Jeremy Colton. I know there's been rumbles in Chicago for his head, given what's been going on. And he was Stan Bowman's guy and was extended. Wow. But, Jonathan Toews, even in his last game interview, said, he has the team has the full confidence of it. But it's not looking good because they face off against the struggling Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. And it's going to be tough to see what comes out of this because both those teams have been having a hard time. And he just signed, Seth Jones to that unreal $9.5 million contract, which does not even start till next season. So it doesn't take effect for a full year, which is going to be tough to swallow.
8 years. Yeah.
Right. And bringing in Marc-Andre Fleury, right?
Yeah.
But again, he's got one more year left at that 7.5. So, that's a little bit easier to swallow.
So I was going to say
some dark days in Chicago coming up.
Kyle, just for those that don't know, Kyle Davidson was the vice president of hockey strategy and analytics. So to be an intern general manager, that's quite the thing. Okay, let's talk a little bit more. Man, our time's up. Okay, guys, we're going to go put the counter on. We're doing it again. Okay. Okay, so listen, guys, this team is a mess. I think we agree. Yeah. Even the great Seth Jones hasn't been able to stabilize that defense. And by the way, in my defense, there was something, even guys like John Shannon, I've been arguing with guys about this whole Duncan Keith thing, even in Edmonton. We're not going to cover Edmonton today. But even Seth Jones, who everyone has called a top 10 defenseman in the league, it's worse defense than it even was last year. I mean, there is something that Keith brings that is missing of experience with those younger guys. And so don't be too hard on Seth Jones. It's not really Seth Jones. And this is what I think is going to happen, Pavel. I keep pointing at you. I don't know why. But I actually think Jeremy's going to be gone. They're going to move him out as coach because there is a lot of talk that it's the system that he's putting in place and it's causing too much chaos. So it almost feels, what was it that Dallas Eakins did in The Swarm?
Oh, The Swarm, yes. Yeah,
it was like everyone's like, you can't do this. Let's just get the fundamental work. So, I mean, you got to feel for Marc-Andre Fleury. He had no choice but to go there, and it is a disaster there.
Well, he could have retired. I mean, he had that option. Now, the thing with Seth Jones is that it's a small sample size, and you have to give him a little bit because sometimes it's hard to fit into a new system and get a new top-pairing defenseman to play with. I mean, he played very well with Zach Werenski in Columbus, who, is doing pretty solid. And sometimes you need that deep partner because you can play with someone good. We had this in Edmonton where Klefbom didn't have a partner until Larson was brought in, and that helped stabilize a little bit, Quinn Hughes is looking for something like that right now in Vancouver, and it's been a mix of what they can fit. They've tried Tyler Myers on that line, and sometimes it succeeded, sometimes it hasn't. So you have to find chemistry. Now, with Chicago, it's one of the most difficult starts for them. There's a lot of pressure on that fan base. They've been booing them. Colton, even at one of the last few games, called a timeout and got the players to draw up a play, which seemed very unreal to see, right? But, he did do that. So long story short, there's a lot of questions on and off the ice. And I think, and I could be wrong, this is affecting what's happening on the ice with the on-ice investigation, which is now somewhat closed. Yeah. But it opens a whole can of worms and results of what will happen next. You guys can put your thoughts down, what you think is going to happen. But I don't know if Chicago is going to be trying to go for bottom of the basement this year, maybe trying to get Shane right next
well,
year.
And I know we were going to talk a little bit about that because, the New York Post, Larry Brooks been talking about. Now, this is just purely him talking, just so everyone understands this. He's just speculating about the possibility of course, we know he's talked about Dylan Strome. Many people have talked about Dylan Strome. They finally just played him recently here. So I do see Dylan Strome moving. That's an easy move. But the bigger question, and Larry Brooks brings up, and I know he just likes to stir conversation, but what about Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews? They're both, are they going to be available at the trade deadline with what's going on? They have 2 years remaining on their contracts at $10.5 million caps. But to move those pieces is not going to be easy. Now, here's my take, and we're past our time, so I'm just going to finish my take here, guys, and we're going to go
just keep going.
No, listen, we got to move on. We can't just keep talking about Chicago. Listen,
yes, we can.
I don't think that Jonathan Toews will ever go anywhere. He's not as healthy as he once was, but Patrick Kane is the top of the league, and he's not going to stay on a team like that. I expect a deal next season for Patrick Kane. And drop Mike. There we go.
Maybe. I agree. I can see that. The only thing I see with Toews is maybe retiring. The problem with this whole thing is that they came out and said that they knew nothing about what took place in 2010 and that, it wasn't known. But it's coming out slowly and trickling out that, people did know. Players did know.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't look good on the captain. It doesn't look good on the team. It doesn't look good on team morale. Now, there's been a lot of changes there in Chicago.
Okay, let's move on. I'm depressed talking about the Chicago Blackhawks right now.
Well,
if you're a fan of them, you're
speaking of retirements, Shea Weber, it's rumbling that he's going to retire from the game of hockey. Jonathan Drouin made some notes today, so it looks like Montreal's going to be out with their captain and their top pairing defenseman. So what do the Montreal Canadiens do? Yeah, he's going to retire.
Okay, why would he retire and lose all the money? He's going to lose the money if he retires.
It's being speculated that he's going to retire. So
and you know what? He made it
his body can't give it out anymore. So I can understand why.
I guess if he's actually physically able to play, but he doesn't feel he can keep it up, that would, he's made the money though. So as long as he's invested well, that I guess.
I don't think he physically can't play anymore. I think his body is taking a toll on him. He's played hard minutes. He plays a hard, gritty game.
But if he's on long-term injured reserve, it's no different than all the other guys, right? They can just play out their years and still collect. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. So, okay, well, let's talk more around Montreal. Let's move from – we know Weber's not coming back. I mean, essentially.
Yeah, he's not coming back. So Edmondson is missing. Carey Price is still missing for an indefinite amount of time. The team has struggled to score. They had that win against Detroit over the weekend, I believe it was. And so, that was good. But they've had a slow start, and they're missing a lot of key pieces. Their top young guys aren't producing. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki. And I think there's a bit of a panic, even though it hasn't even been 10 games, which usually people make assessments after that time. Yeah. I don't know. I think Montreal is struggling. They've struggled in the last few years. They can still pick it up, but it's you need to score, right? I mean, Mike Hoffman didn't play for a few games, and now he's finally getting his, legs into the game. Toffoli finally scored in the last little bit here, but what do you do with that team? You need scoring.
I know. Well, and I know it's really early, and let's just put this behind everything for all the teams, anyone we talk about. It's early in the season. Be careful on your numbers, but there is something about math. So right now, with the record that they started, last season they had between a 55 and 60% winning percentage. They were kind of moving between by the end of the year. So listen to this though. From this point on, for the rest of their games, they have to finish with a 60% winning percentage for their games to the end of the year in order to even make 95 points to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they dug themselves a hole, and there's a mess there with Bergeron. Oh, we're coming to the end of our time. Tell me a couple more things before we move on.
I don't think Bergevin's staying there. I think he's going to be gone after the end of this year. There's no extension for him. There's rumblings that he may go to LA, but who knows? Wow. That team has a lot of thing, and I wouldn't be surprised with them holding the draft next year and having a high pick, first round pick this coming season, that they wouldn't try to go for someone high.
Wow. Okay, well, let's talk about some good news. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh,
the Pittsburgh Penguins, from bad news to good news, and actually rivalry that goes on between these two teams. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, I thought they were going to have to dismantle this year. They started their season. They totally destroyed Tampa Bay to start the year. It was absolutely crazy, and they're dealing with injuries, they're dealing with COVID protocols. I mean, they got guys like Crosby, Malkin, Carter was doing well, and then he's out. You got Tristan Jarry missing some games. You got Rust out. Getzel was out for a bit. I mean, I'm sure there's names I can't even think about. But to start this season, I thought, in the famous words of Just for Laughs, when the piece comes on, it says, "Mommy, it's over," the whole show. I thought that's what was happening with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but obviously not, because those pesky Pens, to borrow a James Bond movie, never say die.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pittsburgh's on a roll, and I'm going to say that Mike Sullivan knows how to coach and has the structure in place that makes players buy into it.
Wow.
It doesn't matter what it is. They know how to do it. And maybe Ron Hextall and Brian Burke are doing something that very few people could do, I mean, Jim Rutherford got him 2 cups, back-to-back cups.
Yeah.
But, Ron Hextall is trying to fix that problem there because they need it. And for whatever reason, Pittsburgh just know how to play. Like the game against Toronto, they blew that team out of the water 7-1. Like Toronto should not be able to do that with those big names missing, right?
No.
So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing the little things. They're winning the puck battles. They're fighting in the corners. They're making their presence known. And I'm sure Brian Burke is a very happy man because that's what he likes for hockey.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And so here's another team. So let's quickly jump over. Let's do a reset and move over to Florida. Let's talk about Florida for a minute. What about that Sam Bennett character? 9 goals, 9 assists in his first 13 games with the Panthers, if you go back to the regular season last year when he was traded. So what's that got to say about the Calgary Flames organization? Oh, man. And I'm sorry if you're a Flames fan. I'm not picking on you because I know it digs deep. You got, I believe he was, a number 4 overall? Yeah. And he's playing like it, man. I mean, steal of a deal. That team is building well. Yeah.
Bill Zito has done a great job out in Florida. They're undefeated. They're playing hard. They're gritty. They have one of the best top 6 in all of the NHL.
Wow.
I mean, you have a healthy Ekblad, which they didn't have last year in the playoffs. And who would have thought? The Battle of Tampa Bay or the Battle of Florida has been fun to watch. It's one of the best highlighted games that I try to tune into. Florida knows what they're doing. Bennett is fitting very well. He's a gritty player who likes to battle. He gets very physical. Yeah. And people thought that he only turned it on in the playoffs, which is good. But it shows that he needed a change of scenery. And sometimes that's what you need to play better. I mean, it happens often, right? Players go to a new city and they are rejuvenated and they get a fresh start and they feel like they can do anything. So I wish him all the best. I think that top 6 is great. And I think Florida can make a splash this year, even though they haven't won a first-round playoff since 1996. So, a lot of expectations there.
I just have one chant I'd like to say. Spencer Knight. Spencer Knight.
It's funny that they went for him because of the fact that they invested so much in Bobrovsky. He's turned it around and he's, I would say it's not one of the worst contracts in the NHL because goalies can really turn around if you have a good goalie whisperer. But
look at Price, right? I mean, look at the season; it just changed. And I think people go so hard on goalies. It's a little offside track, but guys, I mean, when a goalie lets in 5-6 goals, your confidence can get destroyed by high quality chances being given up by a bad defense for one night. I mean, Patrick Waugh, the great Hall of Famer, that's one of the reasons that he ended up leaving Montreal for some of the shenanigans. You can go back and look in history. But, I mean, he let in a lot of – every goalie has had bad nights or like a wrap of games of 3-4 bad. I mean, even right now over in Edmonton, I mean, people were freaking out on Koskinen. He cost us the game because he let the first goal in. But right now, in a small sample size, it's looking – So be careful on small sample sizes either way.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, what do you think of the Seattle Kraken opening night in their new fancy, what is it, Climate Pledge Arena?
Yeah, beautiful. So I think they did a great job presenting. I watched a bit of that game. It looked beautiful. The building was loud, like super loud, especially when I believe it was Vince Dunn that scored. And like it was insanely packed. It was wonderful to see. You know, they didn't get the win like they should have. The rivalry with Vancouver is going to be fantastic in the coming years. You know, both teams, they've struggled a little bit, like pretty much like Vegas was the outlier for all those teams, expansion teams. But you know, Seattle's getting its sea legs. It's filling itself out. You know, we were worried about scoring, but they are able to score. The problem is their defense is a little questionable, and they've let in quite a few goals that I was surprised they would. Right, and to me, Grubauer hasn't seemed like himself. Now, does that mean that Colorado had a better defensive core, you know, in front of him, or you know, is he really this type of goalie?
And we are dealing with an entire new team coming together. I personally, I think we had this discussion. I think you felt the same. Dave Haxtell, we didn't feel was probably the right coach. I believe you were on that. He's a younger coach. He's newer. When Gallant went into Vegas, I mean, he knows how to bring people together quick, and he demands a lot. And I think bringing all these great defensemen, solid guys, it's going to take them a while to figure out that system. But you're right. The defense has been more suspect in the goaltending than the forwards. The forwards somehow have been just kind of going in pairs and just doing well. Speaking of that, Jared McCain, good on him finding a home in Seattle. And I did want to say, just on the side note, for fans that did not know if this would work in Seattle, years ago, I wrote articles when I was blogging for Oilers Jambalaya, talking about and prospects and all that stuff. One of the things I mentioned is about a team in Vegas, and of course, everyone just kind of rode me. It's just like, it will succeed. Believe me, it will. You know, they get 100,000 Canadians a day going through Vegas, generally speaking.
I was one of those people.
You were one of those.
Our conversations, and I told you, I remember it's not going to work. And I was a doubter.
So I was toting wrong. Vegas back when they were just a talk about bringing in a team. So, but anyway, I mean, they've done a fabulous job. And so, talking about presentation, I want to get through this quick for you guys here. But one of the things with Seattle, if you look at their football team, it's kind of one of the best crowds in football in Seattle. And I am excited when that team becomes good. I think that house, it's already going to be rocking. The only thing, Pavel, I'll get your thought, but I was disappointed with the home opener presentation. It was not what I thought. Like, you know, Vegas did this big thing. They had the night come out. They had the lights coming in. And I know it's Vegas.
The Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken as he comes out. But I thought they would have more show as opposed to just the in-game. And you know, it was a good opening. I get the jersey retirement. Number 32 for 32,000 seats in an hour sold. And also for the 32nd franchise. But I was kind of disappointed. This was their one shot at really giving an in-game presentation, and they didn't present it well. That was just
my theory is, like, when Edmonton opened their new arena, is that I don't think this arena is 100% complete, and I don't think everything is up to 100% capacity of being functioning. Wow. So I'm sure there's still minor little glitches that maybe things that they wanted to present, but maybe they couldn't get to that point. You know, in Edmonton, when the new arena, Rogers Place, opened up, there was issues with bathrooms for a bit, you know, and they weren't at full capacity. You know, and that is not part of the presentation, but there's these little things that, you know, there's deadlines to meet, but sometimes things aren't completed at a certain point. And so as time goes on, they can better them. So I'm wondering if they were rushed to completing as much as they could, and maybe just with the limitations of the construction of the building, it limited what they were able to present to the fans, right? So, I mean, who knows what we'll see in the coming days, in the coming weeks and months with that arena. I'm excited about Seattle. I think it was reported on Friedman and Elliot's show, 32 Thoughts, where they may raise the banner for the 1917 Stanley Cup champions for the Seattle team.
Metropolitans. Yeah.
So that would be pretty cool, pretty unique. pretty
Yeah,
bold of
no,
them.
I think that would be
And
good.
I think that team has a long history, a long, rich hockey culture, and I'm excited to see where Seattle goes. And again, it's a
Absolutely.
small sample size. Let's see what takes place.
I do want to let everyone know if you have not checked it out. So I made sure I posted. I took them from my Twitter and different feeds and people sending some stuff out. I actually had a friend of some family members that I have that actually were there. They got a couple pictures too. So anyway, we posted some pictures. You can see the view from outside, inside. 2 jumbotrons for you guys. It's not a typical screen that's done. There's one on each side of the building. So it's a very unique view. It's a really beautiful building. They've done a great job with that place.
I was there in 2018 when the construction was just starting. Like you could start seeing the groundwork. So there wasn't much done, but it looked really cool. So I was excited to see what the after product is.
Okay, let's back to our clock. Okay, we're Toronto Maple Leafs, man. Toronto Maple Leafs. So what's happening in Toronto? Is it coaching? Is it the loss of Zach Hyman? Is it because Thornton's gone? Is it just their psyche? It's been rough. And some pundits are actually telling us that they're going to have to win. Remember, I was telling you this with Montreal. They're saying also they're going to have to win 58% of their remaining games to gain 95 points for the playoffs. I know that's the magic number I'm giving you guys today. The pressure's mounting for Dubas. A couple years ago, the guy was a genius, and today he could end up being the scapegoat, Pavel.
He could, but I could see him also transitioning out and going somewhere else. I remember Colorado wanted to speak with him, and Toronto said no because they wanted to hold on to him, right, when he was with the Marlies. So I think what the problem with Toronto, for what I've seen, is, Steve Dangle does a great breakdown of every game and, everything about Toronto-based. But the team's just not playing cohesively together. There's not a team structure, and there's a lack of effort. And so that's what I find. Do you just laugh at everything I say? That's fine.
You talked about Steve Dangle, and I was just following Twitter the other day. And he posted a couple years ago. He goes, "Too bad. I think Pugliarvi's a great player. Too bad he's wasted in Edmonton." and now he's taken off to such a great start, and he's the big talk of the town. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm not.
But anyway, as it comes down, the biggest thing with Toronto is they're not playing together as a structural team. Now, Keith can only do so much, but the problem is that they want to make sure they play a defense game. I mean, honestly, Hall and Muzzin have played very poorly. I don't think that they've been at their best. Sandin has to take that bigger step. Morgan Riley, this is his breakout year for a contract here for next year. Wow. If he wants to get paid that $8 to $9.5 million range like all the other defensemen, he's got to prove to people that he can play like that. But he's struggled. Not to mention, he could be a possible candidate for Team Canada in the Olympics, right? like that's where that could be motivation, right?
Hey, that's a great point.
I think what the Toronto thing is that their stars need to produce, but they also need to play a tougher physical game, and I don't think they are. And maybe that series all or nothing is affecting their psyche. Maybe last year is still affecting them, but they just don't seem to be on the same page as the rest of their colleagues.
I'm just you talking actually about Morgan Riley. You're right. If he doesn't pick it up, he won't be playing for Team Canada.
Yeah.
And that's going to open up a spot because there's quite a few defensemen, Canadians, that are sitting in wait, right?
Yeah.
Just like, wow.
On the right-hand side, which is already filled with Cale Makar and Alex Pietrangelo, most likely.
Wow.
So who's your right-hand third guy be?
Yeah.
And all right. Drew Doughty may fit in that place too, right? Like he may outplay him. He's been playing pretty solid. So I think Toronto just needs to take it game by game. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight when they play Chicago, because both those teams are struggling and need the win. Who's going to be the hungrier team?
Yeah. All right, we're moving on. We got to keep going on our timeline so we can cover all. We're not going to get all the information, guys, here tonight. But, okay, let's talk a little bit quickly about St. Louis.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so Jeremy Rutherford, who does writing for St. Louis, there was all the talk about Tarasenko, of course, being on the move in the offseason. By the way, Seattle, hello. Tarasenko was available. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I don't know if he's a Francis-type player, but But anyway, so
And he could have been a captain for them.
yeah, he could have been, and I think he would have been happy with the move. But he's done well. He's got back in. St. Louis has started well. Some people, Jeremy Rutherford refers to that he thinks it could hurt Robert Thomas leaving with Tarasenko. But think of it. He has $9.5 million. His annual average is 7.5, but it's 9.5 actual salary for a team this year. That might be where Francis was being told, hey, we're staying away from the 9.5 this year. Actually, it's through the 22-23 season. So I actually don't think he's going to actually get moved. I almost feel he's going to finish his contract out actually in St. Louis. And I think that they're showing they're working well with what they got going on there.
Yeah, I can see that. I think if anything, he'll move at the trade deadline or next off season.
How do you move
I think
that?
Right now?
How do you move $7.5 million and actual salary is 9.5? Now I have to check the bonuses unless the bonuses are.
Did we not move Marc-Andre Fleury with his 7.5?
Yeah, but that's a goalie for a team that needed a goalie. So
no,
you're
they
going to have
a goalie. Kevin Lankinen has been a solid goalie.
Yeah, but Lankinen he had only a part of it. He wasn't an established goalie. That's why Chicago went for Fleury. I know we may have a different take.
Round pick.
I mean, look at they trusted in Jari, and I mean Jari's okay, but I mean Jari was put into the spotlight I think far too quick, and I think that's what they wanted with Lankinen, with Marc-Andre Fleury to kind of mentor him and stuff. But speaking of that, so with St. Louis, that's the problem. I think you pronounce it Huso. He's the backup to Binnington, and that's where I think the issue is for St. Louis.
Yeah, their backup definitely needs an upgrade.
So who do they get?
And technically is going to be asked to play at least 50 to 60 games, which I think he can. Yeah. He's at that age where he's still, and he's been doing well so far. Binnington has always something to prove. I don't know why he tries to fight every player on the ice, but I'm happy for Vlad Tarasenko because you thought that there would be tension and issues in that room because he was upset. There was rumblings when Ryan O'Reilly was given captaincy, which great captain, right? But, he was upset that took place, but he's took strides in making the best of the situation and been playing unreal for St. Louis. I mean, they're still undefeated, so good for them. And I think the big thing is that unlike most players who are upset and may say, well, I don't want to report to the AHL or I'm not going to play anymore, or what happened with Pierre-Luc Dubois in Columbus, and just his gameplay, Vlad has taken the higher road and made the most of it. And it's because I'm pretty sure they have a good working relationship, not only with Doug Armstrong, but also with his teammates. And I think he's trying to prove to them that he's there to make a difference.
Wow.
So good for them.
Okay, man, let's cut the clock, go back, let's hit Buffalo. But there's a lot of movement, and I've had a lot of conversations around Twitter. I don't know if you're chatting with people on Instagram other than your cats. But anyway, and there's a lot of takes on Jack Eichel, and we've been covering the crap out of this. We don't want to bore you guys either, but I mean, Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick on the 32 Thoughts podcast, they're constantly talking, and they've been speculating about you maybe forcing a resolution to the standoff. That's what they've been reporting. I'm just going to go on record. I still see him as far as a competitive team as Vegas. And because of what's happening in Vegas, this will be interesting at the 25 game mark, because they won't want Eichel if they lose something, because they're going to lose that for the year. But if they could get Eichel, their season's not going well, maybe they're willing to take the chance and just barely make it into the playoffs this year, but bring in Eichel if they can make something happen. Because they have the quality of people to send out, but that could mean their season is on the line because Eichel's not going to be back for a few months after.
Well, that's the biggest question in all of this. If he does get traded to whatever team that will go over, will they allow him to get the surgery right away? I mean, the goal, I think, will be to have him have a surgery, but it's going to take a few months before he can recover and get back on the ice and play. So will he even be ready for the playoffs next year? Because I don't know how long it'll take. He definitely won't be ready for next year. Sorry. because I don't think he'll be going to the Olympics. I think that ship has sailed. I think, they're going to be weaker now, and now with the Bowman standing out, like there's going to be some changes. But I thought he was going to be one of their 1-2 punch, him and Matthews for Team USA. But now that he's not playing, what are they going to do? So will a team allow him to get the surgery that trades for him? Will they have the cap room then to manage that? Or will Buffalo retain? Now, I know there were rumblings about Colorado taking him on, but Colorado didn't want to retain full salary. They wanted Buffalo to retain some, and Buffalo flat out said no. So clearly he would have to go to a team where there's, LTIR or enough space, because he's not going to go to a rebuild like, well, maybe Anaheim, right? But I know that Zegras and one other player is what Buffalo wanted. And, Bob Murray said flat out no. It's tough. I feel bad for the player, but I think his health is number one. I think this will influence what the CBA looks like. And I think whatever trade goes over, you need to be ready to play without that player for a few months.
So I just want to say, because I actually deal with the disc issue myself, actually in my lower lumbar. It causes pain, and it was a problem playing hockey. And mine is, I'm sure, way better situation than what he's dealing with. The whole idea that the team wants to fuse a disc. So in my family, my brother he's been out of work for over 6 years. It's been a tough one, but he cannot work because of it. And the one doctor told him, listen, we can fuse the disc in your body, but you need to remember that when it's stiff and any movement that is not prepared without the proper, in other words, if you take a hit a certain way, it'll bend and it will crack another area. It will bend something else, and it puts more pressure on the next disc, on the next part. So the L4 now instead of the L5. And so fusing a disc, what Buffalo wants them to do, it's easy, but the disc
he's going to have to do it again in 10 years.
So it's a 3D print disc. I'm just kind of giving, maybe some of you can look this up. You can see it's a 3D disc replacement, because I've thought about it for my L5, but it's about $10,000 to $15,000 just for the disc. And then you got to pay the doctor, and it's over in other countries. I don't know, Sweden or wherever it is, probably Switzerland or something. I'm sure they'll do it in the States too. But so people need to understand. I think that he's got a bad rap, and he doesn't want it. This is his life, and I don't think doctors should be able to make a decision that you fuse it or you don't play. We're not going to pay for something else.
The teams have their doctors because they represent the interest of ownership group and the team group. So they say what is best for the players, for your product that you're putting, as much as these are human beings, this is a product you're selling to the public. And so these players are valued as something that needs to be presented. If you're missing this key guy who's a member of your team, who's your captain, who's your leader, who's your center, he's bringing people in to watch his dynamic game. And when Eichel is healthy, he is a top 10, in my mind, center in the NHL. Absolutely. Like, that's how good he is. But if he's not there, what is Buffalo doing? Are they able to present with a different product? Now, they've been on a good winning streak. I think they're a 4-1-1 in the last 6 games. So they're doing well. They've done well in the past, and then things can go off the rails. But they've played together as a structure. Yeah. But he's also someone that the team invested a lot of money in. Yeah. And that money is like, what do you do with that, right? Like, you bought this product to make sure that you can present to the crowds. Yeah. You sell jerseys, you sell tickets. So there is a sense that a team doctor, it's not that these doctors are malicious. They're just thinking this is the best thing for him to recover quickly and as fast so he can get back to the ice. The problem is that what Eichel wants to do will help him through the rest of his life. Yeah, that's right. But it's a more riskier move on Buffalo's part, because it's never been done to an NHL player before. Right. And that is where the risk is. So if it had been done before, I think it would have happened already. Yeah. And I think he would have been playing. But the disc replacement has been done in things like football and other sports, but not UFC. In hockey. Yeah. But because hockey, just for those that don't maybe
Well, I guess if you're watching, you probably know how much bending goes on. The worst thing for most players is just the how bad your back feels from just skating, right? It's because of the way, that's why you need strong core and stuff. So, okay, well, let's move on from this. Two last pieces. Just before we go, we'll talk about one more team, and then we're going to call it a wrap. Let's just cover the prospects, though, for Buffalo. I just wanted to mention. So Devon Levi, some of you guys had watched him during I think it was the juniors last year. So he's in the NCAA right now. So he is right now, and he's only played 5 games, but he's still at a 1.4 in the NCAA with a .950 save percentage. That's good news for Buffalo fans because goaltending is one of their Achilles heel. Now Owen Power. He's sitting right now. He's got like 6 points in 6 games. Great for a defenseman. But Jack Quinn, who they got as the goal scorer, 4 goals and a couple of assists in just 3 games. So in the AHL. So great on Jack Quinn. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jack could do. Could you met Jack Eichel with Jack Quinn and then find somebody else named Jack? And we don't give a Jack kind of line. I don't know. It's just, okay. That's
three Jacks.
3. It probably is going to be 2 Jacks and a Sam or something like that. All right, who do you want to cover? One last group here we'll cover, and then we're going to call it a wrap.
Who we're going to cover? I don't know. You big.
Okay.
Let's talk about Alexander Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals, and off to the hot start. So we talked about Pittsburgh in the Metro. Yeah. Why not Washington and what they've been able to do? Wow. And I thought that they would take a step back this year. Yeah. But they are on a mission this year, and they have looked really good. And Ovechkin continues to climb up the ladder of goal scorers, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another 40 this year. I really wouldn't. Yeah. That's how good Ovechkin is playing. And, we were worried about that hit he had against Philly where he was knocked out and he was out for a game. It was an upper body day-to-day, but he got right back in. I think he only missed 1 game, and he's been playing well. TJ Oshie, man, had a hat trick in the last game versus Ottawa Senators. What a high-scoring game, 7-5, super fun. Now, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Ottawa. I think they're kind of coming down from their high. I think they've, you could see the inexperience, but man, is it fun to watch them. But yeah, the Washington Capitals, I'm not counting them out like the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's why the Metro is a mesh for me of who's making it out.
Interesting. And that's interesting. I just looking right now on Elite Prospects here. We're looking at the 6 games they have listed here, 7 goals and 5. He's in Connor McDavid territory right now. He's at 2 points again. Again, I know it's early. I'm not just saying he's going to run out. He's going to be, 160-point season, but 7 flipping goals already. I mean, he is so what percentage is that? 14, 30, so 20. He's 15% of the way to another 50-goal season. And we've just started the season.
Yeah. For all of you that love math, this is your time to shine.
No, this is your time to actually correct me in the comments below because I'm sure I'm way off.
I've tried correcting you a lot of times. It doesn't work.
I just interrupt you.
So yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's been a good go of the NHL. There's a lot of stories happening. The San Jose Sharks, they've been on a hot run so far. Erik Karlsson looks solid in the back end. Who I really like, and I urge everyone to watch if you're watching San Jose, is William Eklund. That young rookie guy is looking amazing.
Yeah,
I am liking what he's performing like.
And that's part of the reason for their early success. So let's talk about some of those teams next week. We're coming to the end. I just wanted to tap in on something here with the TNT analyst work. So Mike Milbury, he's always in the news, no matter where he is. So anyway, they had asked him, and so he has made a comment of how Gretzky is boring. He's monotone in his interview. And not just Wayne Gretzky, but he thinks he's boring. Mark Messier is not great. Chris Chelios. They have an overflowing amount of hockey knowledge. But I am going to say this. Gene Principe interviewed him just recently on the weekend, or before the weekend. I can't remember the days anymore now. When the Oilers took out, they were in Vegas, I believe it was, wasn't it, or Arizona? So anyway, when they played them, And Gretzky even said he needs coached because he has hockey information when you ask him questions like an interview. But for him to ask people questions, that is not his game. But I want to remind everybody, I was worried about this, Pavel. When we started the season, what's he going to be like as an analyst? Because I love Gretzky as a player in his day, but he is not a fun interview.
You don't think so? I think he's a pretty calm, easygoing, good Canadian kid. You know, sure, you want to sell, you know, personalities like basketball. I mean, Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal have great personality and great banter, but that's not the game of hockey. You have a little bit of a different tone.
It's boring, you're saying? The game of hockey is boring? Monotone?
No. I'm saying it's a different atmosphere. So what I think what it comes down to is that Gretzky will find his legs. You know, you got Paul Bissonnette on there from what are they called? Spit and Chicklets, which is a great show, and he's got personality and fire. And sometimes you need that balance and dynamic. It's like us. You're boring and nobody wants to listen to you, and I'm fantastic, and everyone tunes into me and my beautiful cats. And that is why we work. Right, that's why we get all the beautiful views. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any views, right?
Well,
but,
exactly.
I still keep you around. So, Mike,
exactly.
Give just like I gave you a chance. Give Evan a chance, everyone, and give Gretzky a chance.
Well, I actually want to agree with Pavel. I am agreeing with Pavel today because, you know, just like I know everything about hockey, and he knows absolutely nothing about hockey. He just knows about cats. So, you know, enjoy his hockey takes for what they actually are.
It's garbage.
Well, man, we're going to have to wrap up the show here. How can people follow us and like us?
Make sure to go to our Facebook page to like, subscribe, comment, to look up daily for updates of things happening around the world of hockey, all things, KHL, NHL, AHL, anything and everything. Any kind of rock or hockey stick that you're playing with, we got the news on it. So make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on our Facebook page. We got a YouTube page. Make sure you tune into that. Please check out our previous episodes. We have some great guests, great shows, great information. It's never boring. It's always a good time, especially if you're in your car and you got nothing better to do. We'd love to have you and listening to us.
Yeah, go back and follow our old podcast. Next week, Alex Thomas, play-by-play broadcast for the Hartford Wolfpack, man. Come to be stay. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's been a treat. Evan?
Well, on behalf of Two Guys in Hockey Talk, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe.